What's going on, everybody? Moawe here, and today I wanted to talk about Square Enix. They've been in the news recently for a ton of things, positive and negative, whether that to do with the higher-ups really want to get into blockchain, NFTs, metaverse, and even the positive stuff like FF16 being ready to go. And I wanted to talk about different sides. I didn't know exactly initially where I wanted to place this video, but I definitely want to get into the positive side of things. Square Enix seems to be going on a downtread. I feel like Square Enix can easily bounce back from this, especially with the release of that trailer finally we'll get for Final Fantasy 16. They finally date that. Maybe even hopefully Final Fantasy 7 Remake 2 get an announcement of some kind this year. I know Kitase talked about not too long ago that we might see an announcement this year, and I think we will see an announcement for that of some kind. When is it gonna come out? Who knows? I want to be optimistic and say sometime next year or the year after, but honestly I think it ultimately depends when 16 is gonna be coming out. With the way Yoshi P's talking, he said it's basically almost done. They're just doing the polishing phases right now, and I am so excited for 16. Everything they've talked about so far is looking really nice, and we might get the best Final Fantasy we've ever gotten to date. And I'm talking like mainline Final Fantasy. I'm not even including 7 Remake, because 7 Remake's in its own category. I feel once we get 16, we finally get that game. I feel like the gears are gonna start turning, and I know it's difficult to imagine that right now, especially with the higher-ups talk about all this NFT, blockchain, the recent announcement of them selling off their Western division. Of course, everyone's thinking they're getting lined up to get sold off by someone like Sony, where I don't feel like that's gonna happen for Square Enix. Anything can happen at the end of the day. I'm not trying to say that it can never happen, but at the same time, I'm definitely like, I don't really see Square Enix getting bought up, especially to someone like Sony. I feel like that's a whole can of worms right there, especially with franchises that Square owns, like Dragon Quest and Kingdom Hearts, where you have different companies, not just Square Enix owning the IP with Kingdom Hearts case with Disney, and Dragon Quest's case even more, because you have Bird Studio, Toriyama, a ton of like studios and companies owning a percentage of that franchise. So it'll be really difficult. If anything, I could see Sony trying to buy out Final Fantasy, because that's what they would really want out of the whole deal, is to get Final Fantasy exclusive to PlayStation. And we are getting that with 16 being a console exclusive, so we're definitely gonna get that. Sony will probably just give them a bag to keep Final Fantasy exclusive, or at least a timed exclusive like they've done with 7 Remake. But yeah, we'll definitely see. Definitely am interested as a Final Fantasy fan myself, and overall just a Square fan. It's really difficult, and I'm definitely interested to see how things are shaking out, because the last couple years they've just been having, like, they haven't had, like, it's not even like they had like a good game and then a bad game. They've had one good game in the last couple years in Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and then a bunch of L's with Babylon's Fall, Balan Wonderworld, or much others that I'm not even thinking of, like Quiet Man, Left Alive, and many others. With 16 and Creative Business Unit 3, how they've been handling Final Fantasy 14, which I've been slowly getting into the last couple years. But 7 Remake, how 7 Remake shaked out, and even Kingdom Hearts 3 to an extent. I feel like Square Enix can easily, to get going with the franchise that people care about, like, your Final Fantasies, your Kingdom Hearts, your Dragon Quest, even like them recently doing the Pixel remasters and Chrono Cross, even though Chrono Cross was a bit of a letdown. Delving deeper into their back catalog, just getting something going, do something really nice, and be the Square Enix that we know, that we all long for, from the PS2 days, the PS1 days, even back into the Super Nintendo days of just putting out games. I think they don't need to do much, honestly. Like, we don't, because the problem with Square Enix, especially the last like 10-15 years, is they have taken so long to develop these big budget franchises, and it just takes forever. And I feel like that has been their main issues, that they want big budget games to release on a decent clip. Past, especially like PS3 era, it definitely was like they were having so many development issues with developing a new engine almost for every game, and developing that engine while developing the game itself, which took a huge toll, especially during Final Fantasy 13's development and all their sequels and stuff like that, versus 13, Final Fantasy 15, and like now I feel like they've gone into a decent clip, especially with them switching over to Unreal Engine, and literally every single game they pumped out is through Unreal Engine or a variation of that engine. And especially now, all their games basically have been running in Unreal Engine or a little modification of that. I don't know off the top of my head what 16 is running in. I assume Unreal. It could be just the same engine that 14 is running in. I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. Yoshi P did mention that we're going to get that 16 trailer very soon. Where would they place it? I can see them doing their own event, especially if it's in the next month. Then definitely I can see them doing their own event. I don't know. They haven't really announced anything for the 35th anniversary of Final Fantasy, so I would have said like the anniversary event if they're ever going to do that, but that's we haven't heard anything about that yet. We'll see. Comment down below what you guys think of all this. What your thoughts on Square? How do you guys feel about 16? Where it's at, all that stuff. And when do you guys think it's gonna get announced? That's pretty much it for me. I'm gonna get back into the swing of things. I know I've taken a long hiatus from content, and I'm not gonna promise anything, of course, but you'll see more of me for sure. That being said, this has been Moawe signing out.